Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the After Action Report. We are very happy to have you here. Also, want to remind you to check out our sponsor, Admiral Tater's Ship Shop. If you are looking for some fantastic wargame accessories, Admiral Tater's Ship Shop is the place to go. He's got templates for Leviathans. He's got a lot of accessories for Armada, which you have probably seen at tournaments all around the world. He also has been dabbling in Warhammer and Blood Bowl accessories. So if you're looking for something, check out the website. If you don't see it there, send him a message. He may have something in the works. Definitely something that you want to check out. I am very, very happy to have you here with us this evening. We apologize for having to postpone the show for a day. We had some scheduling issues, and then now, as it turns out, we ended up with another scheduling issue, but we didn't want to push back yet another day. So as you note from this screen here, by the way, my camera's back, yay. But as you note from this screen here, you don't have Garrett, but we've got Reuben.
How you doing, y'all?
And we've got Nick.
Hey, happy to be here.
And we are all very, very happy that you are joining us this evening. Wow, this is not looking quite right, so I'm going to try to fix this image. Any news that we need to lay out there, guys?
We're approaching, what is it? 6 weeks to Adepticon-ish?
Yep.
I read one short article that was very light on details about the StarCraft war game. So there's still alpha going on. I haven't seen any updates about any new stuff for release for Adepticon. The FAQ for Leviathans hasn't come out yet. And the emergency FAQ, if you're not in the Discord, there's been a lot of talking in circles about how line of sight works. And one of the people in the Discord that's closely connected to the development team and the playtesters reached out, and we're still waiting for an answer. So whenever we get that answer, you'll see the change in how we play on the streams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it.
And we were very, very anxious to get some updated details. I think there's some questions and some balance issues that some of us would actually like to see sorted out there.
Don't get me started.
Yeah. I'm not sure how quick we're going to get those, but...
Well, I mean,
as far as we know...
But before we really jump into the topic of Big Heavy, I would like to discuss Kickstarter and what we ran into on our game on Thursday, which any of you watched was pretty brutal, I think. Is that fair to say, Nick?
It was a fun game.
It was a fun
game of a lot of ships getting blown up.
So,
yeah.
Not so
how
much.
Was it that you were playing Italians for the first time, and how much was it that the Kickstarter was pretty good?
There are definitely some things I would do differently, looking back on it. It really was getting a feel for the Italians. It's very different than my Russians.
Well, and you were not only playing Italians, but you were overloading the torpedoes. You were
yes.
diving into, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to overdo it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoy the torpedo mechanic of this game. We definitely had some issues. I think against most other lists, I would have had an easier time. But Chris brought a battlecruiser with 4 destroyers, and so I was just never able to get my torpedoes to hit anything because all of his speed 8 destroyers were just too hard to pin down.
Yeah, I mean everything.
And that leads us into
everything on my list was moving between speed 8 and speed 10, and that included the battlecruiser.
It's almost like the weapon system that is wholly in the control of your opponent, whether or not you hit them or not. Is it good when they go fast?
I definitely feel like if torpedoes were better, like if we see torpedoes like being really oppressive, you'd see a lot more of these like MSU style um, fleets. But I think because torpedoes are only okay at best, there's not that competitive edge to really have that high maneuverability. Um, and Chris and I talked about this. I don't remember if it was on stream or maybe it was like immediately after we stopped the stream. Um, the maneuverability in a game like Star Wars Armada or even in like something like Warhammer, when your map size really has a lot more say in your range of engagement, you can actually have maneuverability. And something like Leviathans, when most of your guns are going to be hitting at 10 hexes, and if you're sitting in the middle of the map, you can hit both your left and your right side of that entire map. Being maneuverable doesn't really help you get out of range because a battleship is going to turn horizontal and broadside from a third of the way up the map and hit everything in the middle. Um, and so I tried to do the torpedo thing. I really wanted to see if you had like tons of torpedoes, like could you really overwhelm a battle cruiser or a battleship? Granted, that didn't happen because we learned about the Kickstarter HML Tiger. It's crazy.
Yeah. Battle cruisers probably should not move speed 9. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed it, but that makes me wonder. That makes me wonder if the build is actually viable when you have to switch that out for the is it Sion Hop or something like that? That it's a speed 6 battle cruiser. Same point values. It's got an additional gun, I think, out of the front, an additional saturation gun out of the front, but the lack of movement. I mean, 3 is a lot of movement.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about chopping the movement off by a third, so hey.
Yeah, yeah. It was really it. If anybody watched the stream, there was a moment on like turn 2 when I very underestimated the fact that I did not pay attention to the fact that the battle cruiser could go speed 9. I was assuming it was going to be about a 5, like most other battle cruisers. And so when I loaded the torpedoes in front of it, and then he went, "Okay, I'm going to fly all the way around here." I was like, "What movement value do you have?" He's like 9. I was like, "Oh, so that this plan was never going to work." Okay. So
Reading the ship card explains the ship card.
yeah. I was trying to play quick, and I didn't expect to be bamboozled.
And to be fair, we really had to play.
Bamboozle is the worst.
We had to play quick simply because of the sheer volume of torpedoes that we were running.
Yeah, it was taking a lot of time to lay down 14 torpedoes every turn. And destroyers are just they're so hard to hit with a torpedo. I mean, even
roll miss slot. The one time it matters is with the torpedo.
I got almost every single one of your destroyers down to like half like slots. I mean, every single one of them was getting pounded. I knocked out like 3 of the engines on one of them.
Yeah, and then I
literally had rear shots, knocked out the engines, and he was like, "I'm just gonna full stop, turn around," and I couldn't kill it.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Tight speed evasion. Yeah, I used that to really good effect.
So it's just kind of like it was really frustrating because I couldn't get a kill on a single destroyer. Every single one of them was just flying around, avoiding torpedoes, and then shooting me. With their
overgunned
12
British.
They're overgunned. Yeah, I've got. But every destroyer has 2 or 3, 10 or 12 X guns, and you're just putting that volume into like my 12 armor value.
Yeah. As a known balsa wood and aluminum foil armor enjoyer, now you know my pain. Now you know why I hide in nothing but clouds and then just sit there and then try to shoot one thing and run away.
Yep. Yeah, I think
Uh,
maybe if we were to play that again, I think maybe I do go for second player and just pick clouds and let first player pick mission, and then just slap down like heavy clouds, maybe one here, and put light clouds to hide in, just to mitigate some of the maneuvering
yeah.
to help with the torpedo. But
Yeah, the
yeah,
problem is the either or on the lights or heavies. I tend to prefer two lights with Italians. I've got some intriguing plans with one heavy as British. So we'll see.
cool.
Speaking of heavy, we're here to talk about Big Heavy.
He segued. Wow. We did it.
Ooh,
We're
smooth.
doing it.
It's like I'm a host.
Ooh, ooh.
Shouldn't get ahead of myself here, but
So, big heavy fleets and Leviathans.
So a big heavy fleet is a fleet that takes both a battleship and a battle cruiser. Therefore, we can tell that we've only got maybe three ships in our whole fleet because battleships run 400 plus points and the battle cruisers are like what
300
280-ish
plus.
to 300-ish, like low 300s. So you're
Yeah,
talking about well, the Italian battle cruisers are 280 and
yeah,
300.
the
They're
British
they're on the cheaper side.
run 320, 340.
Okay. So we're at like what 800-ish points on your
Somewhere in
fleet.
that neighborhood.
You can be around 750, depending. You can
Yeah.
take a cheaper battleship.
I'm finding that I prefer the cruiser with big heavy, not the destroyer. I'm also finding that it's honestly a little hard to get the defensive screenings go off, even with destroyers,
Yep.
just because of the interhex before turn and how you have to like your way around and have three movement points to then spin to defensive screen.
I think
So
that
the
depends on the
whole
faction, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. Surveyor died last week because I put their crew in the wrong spot, so she went down pretty bad. But it happens. It's got two armor on the sides. I was gonna defensive screen with it next turn, and then Kate was like, "Oh, 3 points," and I was like, "Oh yeah, 3 points. Uh-oh." So yeah, it happens. Um,
Yeah, I don't know that defensive screening is necessarily like a requirement for your big heavy list, because your defensive screening ship is going to typically be your destroyer or maybe a cruiser, and that's already going to be the one ship that your opponent is being like, well, I probably am not going to kill this battleship. I'm probably not going to kill this battle cruiser, depending, of course. Um,
I'm going to
and so
defensive
using it,
screen with my battleship.
you can do it. You can offensive screen with your cruiser, hide it behind your battleship and offensive screen. And I think that might be more viable. But
my
again, I think
thought,
it depends on factions.
my thought is that since we're presenting a Type 4 and a Type 3, and I think that you generally want to play first as Big Heavy because A, you don't have the points to bid to begin with. So like you need all 1,000 points to get all the stuff that you need because you definitely want a spotter. You need a third plane. You need an admiral card because when you're taking these big ships, they're kind of lumbering. So if you can get some maneuverability, or like Italians can take the torpedo ones, and then you can bring the torpedo expert and then try to like leverage saturation guns and torpedoes, that kind of stuff. So like you don't have enough points to be bidding 20 to try and take second. So in that case, you're looking at, playing invasion, and then when they inevitably ban invasion, because we still haven't figured out how to counter invasion yet, you play control points. And then they have to come and fight you. That's the whole because you have two ships that have 7 tonnage between them, you can just say, okay, well, second player can place down their first control point wherever you want. You put your one control point like 2 hexes away from it, go bonk, and then you just fly straight at it and say, come fight me. I brought gun. We brought the big ships. We're going to shoot you and brawl. And in that context, if the cruiser's in the right place or the destroyer's in the right place, they have to commit into a 300 or 400 point piece, which typically shouldn't die in one fleet activation into it with its SI, because usually the battle cruisers, like my Italian battle cruiser has 26, and it lived through having two whole locations destroyed and gun damage, like stern engine damage. The minute you turn a ship around and they're shooting a fresh zone, it's really hard to kill it at
Yeah.
all. Now, the minute a shell goes through and hits that damage internal, the thing will just light up like a firecracker. But it takes a ton more shots to get there. So it's all about time to kill with big heavy. So if you can have that screener to go, oh, you committed your whole fleet and you shot out my one side and you got your first breaking the kill roll through because you did a full location destroy, blocked. Haha. Now you have to shoot a whole other ship, which if it's the right type of cruiser, so you kind of want to prefer the more armored ones, not the more
Yep.
gun ones, especially like German Brandenburgs and all that. Palada, Savage, hate it, evil ship, don't buy it. Just don't play the Palada. Trust me.
Plata's bad, okay.
So if you screen again and they have to shoot your whole cruiser, and then the cruiser just dips out the back and offensive screens off the battleship that's been shooting the whole game, that's like the
You're not giving up any
attrition,
points.
right? You're not
Yeah.
giving up any points. Like you want your opponent to score goose egg, and then you take their 1,000 ladder points and you take 1,000 points of diff, and you say, "See you next round, buddy."
Yep.
I guess
Yeah, it's
I guess my perspective on Big Heavy runs a little bit different just because of the faction that I run, and I mean, you've got to run the Mafe King in with the British just because those black long range guns, saturation guns, are just scary for a battle cruiser. So you can afford to skimp a little bit on the actual battleship, but that does lead to a question that I want to talk about that has been really, really active in the Discord about speeds, but we'll get there in a moment. When I look at the British build for Big Heavy, I'm looking at the Leinster, which is a Connaught class battleship, 410 points. Mafe King is 340 points. While some people do like cruisers, the Beagle is essentially a pocket cruiser. It's just such a nice destroyer. And that still leaves you points for a green spotter, a green fighter to help protect that spotter, and tight spin evasions so that you can flip that ship to get that fresh side like you're talking about. And you still have a 10-point bid. That's scary.
I'd put the 10 points into. I like the whales, but what's the second one? The one that's 440? Like the monster class?
You're not even looking at that because again, the Leinster is 410.
Or the Medusa with all the 10-inch side array. I like that one. I might put
Well,
that in
the
this
thing about the Leinster is actually more maneuverable than the Medusa, because it's got two steering gears.
steering gear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you have to play the Giulio in Italians. Your well armored 15
Mm-hmm.
is like actually really critical. As sad as that is, your well armored 15 is really critical.
Wow.
The Vesuvius is all about hiding in a cloud and then spearing something and then running because it can't really take the sustained shots because it's got like tins because Italians.
Yeah.
So the Giulio has saturation guns, has a bunch of them. It has the bracketing blue yellows that are really important to actually crack through armor locations when you get close. So that your saturation, because it's got the casemated, non-turreted Force 7, well, 3-5 green blue guns on it, the
Yeah.
saturations, like the battery saturations. So it's all about like really getting up in your grill and just throwing a shit ton of blue, like of
Yeah.
D6s at you and trying to get through. And then,
Get that close range.
yeah. And the Sardinia, um, it's the Scylla, right? It's the all guns one of the battle cruisers.
Yeah. Sardinia is the all torpedo one that I ran.
Okay, so it's the
Sicilia
Sicily.
would be your
Okay, because it's got the
all guns.
saturations. So you've got like what, four saturation guns in the fleet of the red yellow ones. So it's got some serious like striking power. And then the like what, four 4-8 blue guns are
Mhm.
those guns specifically, like the French 75s and the British 3-inch and the Italian 57 millimeters. That gun class, I don't think it's very good unless it has blue crew. Its range is really short, and
Yeah.
the math of its damage is extremely reliant on hitting a two-die target, so battleships, because it can't spike off the D12 like other dice can. So having that blue crew when you're firing the D blues, that makes that gun consistently fairly effective
Right.
because it can bracket it long to hit 2D green plus a blue, and then at close with the 2D blue plus whatever location is, it can hit most mid-range armor values. It's not going to crack through German level like armored locations, but most mid-range locations it'll get through. Weirdly enough, that battle cruiser is soft. Like it does not have armor at all. It's got like 12s and shit. Terrible.
Yep. 12 to 13s with no armor.
Yeah,
+1 armor in the front. 10s and 11s.
the minute it got shot at,
Mm-hmm.
gone. Just like locations were gone. It was incapable of fighting. It just had to run. So I had to like, you know, decks are on fire, ammo lockers are going off, and I'm just like running for the mountains so I could hide from line of sight to try and keep my 300 point investment from not going up in a ball of fire and lose. So, uh, and then last ship was the Marco Polo. It's the best Italian cruiser. I prefer 3 torpedoes in big heavy. I usually play 6 in battle line, and 3 gives you enough where as you're approaching the control points, like you line everything up and you approach with your bow the control points, you can put down your torpedoes to force your opponent to break in a direction, which allows you to get in a brawl with them. And the Marco Polo is it doesn't trade anything that I think is inefficient because when I evaluate a ship, I look for paired weapons and decent and like non-redundant crew. It's my biggest things. Because if you trade armor for an extra redundant crew, take the armor. Always better. Like who cares? The turret fighter can kill him. It's whatever. You don't need 2 of them. I don't think it's worth it. And an individual gun of the bracketing type, I would rather pay for something else because you're either going to fire a 2 gun pattern at long, and when you get close, you just fire individually. So I don't put a lot of stake in the extra points for an odd weapon on a broadside because I would rather have something else. I'd rather make 2 bracketing attacks at long that will actually do something than 2 and then waste my clock time shooting a green gun that's not going to do anything.
Yeah. Sure.
Now, is movement 3 a fatal flaw for a battleship?
Probably.
I think there's context that you need there because movement 3 with enter before 1 or 2 isn't that bad. But if you're speed 3 with enter before 3, then it's rough. Like what do
Yeah.
you do?
Yeah. And I've made this argument a few times on the Discords that German battleships, when they have hardburn, have no weaknesses, and it's bad game design. Because if a component has an optional component you can take with it, and when that component is taken, the piece loses all trade-offs, it will always be played.
Yep.
You never played an Imperial Star Destroyer without PDICs. You don't do it. Like you take the piece, right? It's a multiplicative effect of increased ability. So when you have a battleship that's designed to be slow, but have good guns and good armor, and then you say, oh, actually, for a 20-point surcharge, you also are fast. You're as fast as anything else. Actually, you're faster, which is really the issue, is that you're faster. If hardburn was +1 hex and it was 4, it would be the exact same as British and probably manageable. But that it's 5 is what makes it no drawbacks at all.
Yeah.
So you get into the situation where you go, well, if hardburn was 50 points, you still take it.
Yeah.
Because you can't play the piece without it.
Yeah, you pay for that 500-point battleship that is better than any other battleship in the game.
Yeah, I mean, let's just go ahead and throw out the other piece that I feel like fits into this complaint, which is the HML Cornwall. Okay, so you've got a movement of 3 and an enter before turn of 4. And
then you have two steering
and you
gears.
have two steering gears in the aft. So if you lose one steering gear, you've got essentially 2 slots that are very, very much your weak points in the ship.
Yep.
Yeah. And okay, let's think about this, because I actually haven't put the thought into this. There's 16 hexes between the middle line and your deployment player edge. You deploy a battleship and it's 4 hexes in. So that means we're at 12 hexes from the middle line. Okay, so 3, 6, 9, 12. You're 4 turns from the middle line. Any objective is either on the middle line, so it's 4 turns away, or it's within 2 of the middle line with how we have decided to play the control point objectives.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 3 turns. Technically still 4, because you can't get onto it in 3 turns. So you have to take another turn to get there. There's 6 turns in the game. God forbid they put a heavy cloud down, because then you were very screwed, because you were not going anywhere at all. You're very cooked if they put down a heavy cloud in front of where you want your battleship to go. So we also, all of our experience is also that when your ship takes raking fire, so fire that goes from your stern or your bow through your ship, raking fire, Leviathan bows just confetti immediately, because everybody shoots their whole shot into it and you lose all your bow, which also means you lose all your best guns, typically. If you lose your saturation guns, because they don't have any armored compartments or anything. So if you're speed 3, you absolutely cannot tack ever and get to an objective to play the game of Armada, of Leviathans to win. You will not contest that objective. You will not get there if you tack. Tacking being making a turn, coming about, changing a facing, is tacking. Because, you fly at the enemy, you tack to present your battle line, comes about and tacks to present his broadsides, and then you start shooting. That's how Jutland was fought. If you do that before turn 4 and you are not on that objective, all you are doing with your 400-point battleship is shooting at stuff. You're not using any of the points that you paid for that type to play the mission.
Yeah.
And a core component of winning any war game is playing the mission. So, with their generally the weak battleship bow and the slow movement, I think they just get raking fired and die.
Yeah.
I,
I I think this comes down to also like just fundamentally how you fly a big heavy fleet, right? Um, if you're as a Russian player, I don't have speed 3 battleships. All mine are 4 and 5, so it's a different kind of problem.
yeah.
But if you have speed 3 battleship, you have to kind of lead it with your battle cruiser, right? And so anything that's going to be getting into the bow of your battleship, you need to have a means of punishing that. And so, like, if you're trying to, if you're playing control points and you want to get your battleship into position, you need to basically buy it time and spook your opponent away from getting that big close range shot in your bow. Maybe you do use clouds um, to offset that because you can't afford. I mean, you're right. You can't afford to not contest the control points.
I think the long and
You're not
short
playing the
of it
mission.
is just don't play the Cornwall.
Yeah.
Pretty
Take
much.
Heartburn. Don't play the Cornwall.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm I'm gonna I've got some mental ideas about how to use clouds to help the Speed 4 Interhex 3 ships present to actually do attack, where they can approach the enemy with a cloud zoning them, and what I kind of term a staging cloud, so that you can go hide in it, and then as you approach, they're not gonna rake your ship because you're screened by the cloud, and then you can go hide and then you could sit in the cloud. And then when you need to come out, you go 3 hexes out and then you turn so they can't get to your bow and you shoot them with all your guns. Because that's the core part is you don't want to have your saturation gun shot out before you can give a broadside to somebody. Because the minute you can get a full broadside off and use the right guns and have the right range and shoot somebody with it, it's going to do a ton of damage, especially if you're at close.
Yeah, but I mean, easier said than done, right? That's
Well, I put the staging cloud for Italians at 13 hexes from my player edge because that is 15 minus 2. So that means that when my Vesuvius goes 10 hexes, its maximum movement, it is at the edge of the cloud, which means that it can stall for up to 3 turns and wait by going into the cloud. And when it commits, the cloud won't block its line of sight
yeah.
for its side guns. Especially when you're spearing, the clouds can get really, really awkward. It stands to reason that Leviathan goes 4. So if I go like 4, 8, 12, 10 hexes, I can execute the same strategy with a slower battleship. And we'll see if it works.
Yeah.
Other idea is okay, so this is a geometry thing. When you look at a map of Leviathans, all the hexes kind of like make you point the ships like this at each other.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really approach each other
Like straight
Head
up.
nose to
on.
nose
Yeah.
directly.
Yep.
So because of that, if you have a plan for like say tug of war, it's a really good example for this, and you're on a mountain map like Mountain 1 or 2 or Highland Mountain 2, you can use a heavy cloud against a mountain to force the opponent to come at your fleet in a direction where you will naturally cap their T by playing to the mission. And they won't be able to shoot you because of the heavy cloud,
Because the cloud.
and they're slower getting to the objective. And that's another thing I've been thinking about. As first player, you can just have your one deployment of clouds be a heavy cloud and really impact how second player can approach the mission.
All right. Yeah. I I think that's one thing um, that I definitely want to see more of is kind of like this. strategic placement of clouds and mountains. Most of the games that I've played have been on open or narrow maps. I have not gotten to play a lot with mountains, and part of that is because I've been playing Chris, and Chris likes his open maps.
Well, I now keep in mind with MSU, I don't like the open map as much.
Right.
Which is why I use the light saturation there.
Yeah.
But I still don't like clouds.
And so
British
I
guns
haven't
don't like clouds.
I haven't gotten enough practice with being able to choose clouds into certain objectives, just from the kind of the small number of games that we've gotten. Um, but I really like that idea of really hiding your tug of war against the mountain and the cloud, and really just making it a death trap.
Mm-hmm.
I like that box. Especially you take that you take your battleship with all the saturation three hex guns. Was that the battleship or was it battle cruiser?
Battle cruiser.
Battle cruiser.
Oh no, the battleship.
Okay,
And
yeah.
it can so if you take the 6x one, the long one, I call it like the Stormfront one,
Mm-hmm.
and you have your battleship behind it, like this, okay, if you can imagine, and then you move the one hex forward so that the bow doesn't get clipped by the clouds. It can side slip through the heavy clouds at full speed because heavy clouds only check your bow hex.
Yeah.
So it comes
It's
out one and then goes right at him. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
interesting. Wow. Yeah. Hmm.
And that goes for anything that can side slip. If you can you can finagle a position around a heavy cloud where you can side slip through it
As long
if
as
you
you can
have
avoid the
enough.
bow.
Yeah, as long as you
Yeah.
avoid the bow and have enough steering gear. So like Pilata can do the chain slips. So it could just sit behind a heavy cloud and then pop out one and then chain slip through it.
Just go through sideways and
Yeah.
then still be broadsiding.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just take that and put it in your back pocket for the next time you play.
Save that
You
for
might
later.
get
Yeah.
somebody.
Well, I know this week's episode is Big Heavy, so I guess we should all be bringing Big Heavy this week.
Yeah, what does Big Heavy look like for Russians?
Pilata. And then everything else is optional.
That's just
Yeah.
Russian.
Do you prefer a cruiser or a destroyer, or
The
can
cruiser.
you afford to do the cruiser?
Yeah, you can. You put the Pilata in your list first, and then you build around that. So my big heavy list is Pilata Cruiser with my Precision Shots Admiral because it gives all 5 shots to the Pilata precision +1 -1. Now, I personally have really been enjoying the Siberia battleship. She's 430 points. I did fly the Ivan into Garrett, and that was a ton of fun. But again, that was a game of invasion where he didn't shoot me the entire game, so it's really hard to say that I like it. But the Siberia, that battleship chassis has speed 4, enter before 3 with double steering gears. So it's a battleship that's speed 4 that's able to do one turn, which is, I mean, crazy effective. And both of my battleship options for that chassis have saturation gun turrets in the front and stern, bow and stern. So it's kind of like you said, we talked about earlier, where being able to present another side to it and keep up the fight just makes the ship unkillable. Now, but these ships are a little undergunned because they have one saturation gun in the front with precision cruise and one saturation gun in the back with precision cruise, and that's your guns. What works about that is that you have blue crew. Actually, let me see. Do I had? Yeah, your blue crew up there. Um, so your one shot is, reliably going to hit. You're always going to roll like a 1 and be like, well, I missed anyway. Um, but if you just roll well, you're doing your damage. You get the double saturation in there. The precision crews make it to where you can like really pick like, oh, I need to take out your gun. I need to take out your armor. Um, and so like I've kind of gotten in the habit of firing with basically like my Siberia, like my big guns, and then following up the Pilata to make sure that my weaker guns in the Pilata can kind of pick and choose more efficient damage spots, whereas the Siberia, I'm just going for that saturation. Just hit it, and we'll
Mhm.
see what happens. Um, Now, my battle cruiser that I love, the Kazarsky, has the torpedoes, torpedo in the front, torpedo in the sides, but she's got um, saturation turret in the front, uh, bracketing guns on the sides, and armor values are 14 to 18 on the sides for your battle cruiser. And again, it's speed 5 with enter before 3. So it's not super maneuverable, but you can put torpedoes out and then just kind of you have the Siberia follow along behind it. Your battle cruiser is less maneuverable, but that kind of it's kind of weird. I was kind of talking about earlier where like if you had that speed 3 battleship, you want to punish people coming in to like your battleship bow. What I do with the Kazarsky is kind of have it fly out, and then if you want to go for my battle cruiser, I'm going to swing this battleship around and punish you um, with its double saturation gun. Does it always work? I've only played it a couple of times, but I really enjoyed the combo with that because you also have repair crews on all, well, not the Pilata, but you have repair crews on the battleship and on the battle cruiser. And I think the cruiser has a blue repair crew in its stern. And was I using Siberia? Siberia, I think, had yellow repair crews on its sides. And so even if you lose like that gun, because the repair crews allow you to repair the same turn, it's not super likely that you're going to lose like your only gun and then not be able to get it back because you just say I'm pooling all my repair crew because I can't afford to lose this gun. So you're throwing 2D red, 2D yellow on the same turn that you lost your gun. You need 18, but you have to roll those dice. That's at the end of the day, it's a game. We have to roll the dice. But like, so you can mitigate. And again, Russian ships are so like, especially after playing Italians, man, like Russian ships,
Now
they
you
feel
know.
like, yeah,
Now
they
you
feel
know
like
how tanky they are.
they're not as tanky as Germans, but like, I mean, my battleships are up there with like 17, 18, 19 armor
Uh-huh.
values,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
really does it makes a difference when you only have to repair once or twice.
Oh, I bet
You,
it does. Yeah, huh?
you're not losing much. So, yes, we're undergunned, but Big Heavy can make up for that by being one really hard to kill, and when you do lose something critical, you're able to get it back quickly.
Mhm.
Um, so, like being a little undergunned, you still can kind of win the attrition because you're pushing back with like your higher than average crew dice and your precision. So, I
Yeah,
like it. I like Russian Big Heavy.
what I don't like is French big heavy.
You don't think so?
No, I don't like the battle cruisers.
The one with all the blue yellow guns. We
Yeah, the
had a
Bjorn, it's almost there, but I don't know. I just something about it,
it's it doesn't have much armor, but it's got a lot of gun. So it's very aggressive, where most of the other
and it
battle
is
cruisers
longer
tend to be
range.
tankier. Um, I think the biggest problem with French in general is that their battleships have a lot of trap options. Like the Paris is really unfocused in its weapon package. The the Jean Bart is clearly the best one because it's actually focused in its weapon package.
Yeah,
There's a few of the Bastille classes that bring the HE torpedoes, which I think is an absolute waste on a battleship. Like don't bring those. That's for destroyers. If you want to even try to bring an HE torpedo, because
I'm just
and the
I've not been sold on torpedoes at all, in any variety.
they they go, don't go over there. Something bad might happen. Watch out. That's about all they do. So
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm really not. Yeah, the HE torpedoes are really. I don't know. Like they
They also
need.
make our streams look terrible. So I don't know. They take a lot of time.
I
But
don't even think we need to talk about German Big Heavy because Kaiser.
There's no
yeah.
other. There's no other German fleet.
Yeah.
I will say that I think the course might be a reasonable pick for French Big Heavy because it doesn't have any side guns and it's mostly armor. If you want something that's more specifically designed to do the defensive screening stuff, that's the cruiser I would take there. Otherwise, you're gonna play the Bretagne because it's like the best cruiser. French have very few of the cruisers and battleships that are like that I look at and go, that's the pick. So
Hmm.
Yeah, I haven't quite figured out French yet. I don't know. I guess part of that stems from the fact that I don't like torpedoes and
mhm.
French do.
Yeah.
Sort of. They're like the most mid-range faction, and also their admiral cards are really unfocused. It's really strange what they got going on there.
Yeah.
A lot of redundant motor stuff, like redundant engine slots, which is an interesting design space, but like just fly so you don't get shot in the stern.
Yeah. It's like you're already getting shot in the stern. Like.
Maybe don't do that.
Yeah.
So the torpedo crew is the good one, really. So it's the extra blue
The.
once per turn
Yeah.
on a non-saturation, which I think is really good. Because then you just
Yeah.
go, oh, I don't need a crew shot here. Like my crew's killed, I can just add this to this bracketing attack. I think it's really good. And it's kind of the only one that I think is really good. Whereas I think
Yeah.
British have two good ones, Italians only have one good one, Germans seem to have one that's only good, Russians seem to have two ish.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. But I'm working through figuring out how to fly these broadsiding ships that don't have turrets. They're British. And then once I figure that stuff out, like get foundational theory down, the French are even more of the same thing. They like really love the 75 casemates guns on the sides.
Yeah.
So if I can like take all the learning from British and then apply them to French, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I think I might fly another Alexander Russian battleship and just try that out because, like I said, the one time I put it on the table, I didn't get a really good example of what it could do. But it has that kind of same deal where it's got saturation gun on the front, but then its sides just have like 75 mils.
So
Oh, you
You
got
kind of
Thursday,
have.
crew, right?
Thursday,
You've got, yeah.
you two are going to have to play Big Heavy against each other.
Okay, Dad.
Yeah, it's the blue green guns on the side with bracketing, but yellow crew. So it's 4-8 hex range, but like how I was saying earlier, 8 hexes is pretty much most of the battle you're going to be fighting. And once you get to the point you're broadsiding,
Yeah, once you're in the brawl.
yeah.
I did
So
learn that the 3-inch guns that are the five range, real terrible. Terrible. Ugh.
I think
I,
that
I
pretty
bring some big
much.
heavy.
I think that pretty much covers the topic tonight.
Hmm.
Any
Voice mod.
closing thoughts that either of you have?
Uh, I think big heavy is like the I don't want to say the archetypal way of playing this game because I think that's kind of what Battle Line is meant to kind of be.
Well,
And honestly,
I
when
think
we start,
battle line is
before we were starting the show, we had kind of I had thrown out there that I think Big Heavy is probably the way to go, but I think Reuben had kind of changed my mind in that Battle Line it's got a bit more flexibility than Big Heavy.
I think it specifically comes down to the double cruiser planes battleship battle line is very strong
Yep.
if you're in the right meta for planes. If you're in a not really planes meta, battle line kind of tends to be a little bit weaker. That's mostly because if you're picking the wrong destroyers, they can kind of get sniped out. You need to be very mission oriented with what destroyers you pick. And right now, nobody's trying battleship, cruiser, destroyer planes because the trade-off is weird there.
Yeah,
Because
it's just not
usually you're
efficient.
not getting enough planes to really meaningfully do anything. And of course, eventually I expect turret fighters to get clarified and changed. But even when they're only throwing 3 yellows at a crew slot, they're still very, very activation efficient pieces that you should play. And if you really want to get somebody, you can play a veteran. So the double cruiser battleship planes archetype is a really strong, flexible, mission oriented, like mid range, quote unquote, fleet.
Mhm.
Whereas if you want to brawl more and you want to be more offensively oriented, and you really want to like get in the trade, get in the trenches, and really like dictate more of the pace of the game, Big Heavy is very good at that. And if you as a player aren't used to having someone play tempo against you, which is what Big Heavy really is, it can really just destroy your whole game plan. Because the minute they just like stick a battle cruiser and a battleship on 2 control points, 2 hexes away from each other, and the whole game plan is fight me IRL, a lot of fleets just won't do it,
Mhm.
and they'll just
Yeah,
fall apart.
yeah. It takes
So,
too much time to kill. Even a battle cruiser just takes so much time to kill. The
Unless
it
it's
just reminds
Italian.
me. It reminds me a lot. We saw the same problem with like the Star Wars Armada, where you hit a point where your entire game plan comes down to not giving your opponent any points,
mhm,
and it doesn't make for the most dynamic game when you're
yeah.
not really trading any points. And
Mhm,
I think I worry that if we do see some clarifications, it's going to kind of distill in that same sense where it's like, well, I'm going to take a battleship, battle cruiser because I'm not going to give them any points. Whereas if I take a destroyer, if I take planes, I'm going to lose them, and I'm going to lose by 40 points because I'm just
mhm,
going to lose, these little piecemeal pieces. Um, so I just don't want Leviathans to be like that. But we haven't really seen MSU kind of be viable in the same sense as yet.
mhm.
So until we kind of see more pull away from like the putting all my points into really hard to kill ships, and maybe we need some mission reworked where maneuverability is more important. Maybe we'll figure something out with the clouds and terrain that's going to really change how we approach.
Mhm.
You know,
And it
um,
might just be like getting the ramming off.
yeah, yeah, that might be. Just
Because,
using the hey, I've got a destroyer. I'm going to fly your battle cruiser into a mountain
yep,
because
especially for invasion to like push their
turret
nudge
transports.
the transports off of the points. Because if you have 6 activations, you can throw 2 guts checks at it. And you should get through one.
Yep.
So you might be able to just bonk it off the point. But then you're like potentially trading your ship. So then you're down to 150-ish anyways. So you get into the weird game state math stuff.
Right.
Um, we haven't also really tried like what if we play a battle cruiser, 2 destroyers and planes? It's really weird, and it does not feel like it has the offensive output to do anything.
Yeah. That's
I just want
that's
to.
kind of the
So,
issue with planes in
eh?
general.
Oh,
Yeah, planes
that's
just don't.
crap. That's a Kickstarter Admiral card. Never mind. I was like, I was thinking, oh wow, I'm flipping through these uh, admirals to see because I was looking for something specific, and then I was like, oh wait, that might solve the problem with battleships and movement. We give them the commander admiral card, and then you
Mm,
choose one ship type at the start of each turn. All ships of that type
yeah,
have
Yeah.
+2 MP. But hey,
yeah,
yeah,
one of
that
the most broken things ever written.
yeah.
Um,
Oh man.
and maybe, MSU is another first player oriented archetype, which puts it in this weird kind of like imbalance, like counterbalance with big heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you
It
can
also wants to be
get,
first.
because if you can present invasion with MSU, I think that's like totally reasonable. Because you just put your 140-point ship right next to the troop transport, and then it takes them forever to shoot the troop transport. And you can screen cheaply and do all of these other plays that other fleet archetypes can't really do. And if they ban that, then you just play breakthrough, and you just don't really engage. If you pick heavy, you don't really engage with them, and then you just zip in for the touchdown, and you just win.
Yep.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Now, is that a fun, enjoyable thing to do on a casual game night with your buddies? Oh, don't do that to them. Like, you want to have friends. Playing boat game is better than no boat game.
Yeah, but I don't
So
like
like,
people.
don't troll your friends like that.
I don't like people.
But,
I don't have friends.
well, just not playing a game of Leviathans when you said, "Hey, do you want to hang out and play Leviathans?" And then only beat them off of 40 points from hitting the touchdown on breakthrough. That's a good way to not have any friends.
Yeah.
So if it's a tournament, do that. If it's not a tournament, maybe consider don't.
All
Unless you're
right.
testing it, right? So it's still, and it's so critical of having a good battle cruiser. And most of them aren't good. And most of the destroyers in the game, in my opinion, are not good.
No. I believe me, as somebody who has been experimenting with MSU and looking at all the destroyers and all the different factions, there aren't a lot of good destroyers. I mean the even with the British have the best destroyers. I'm just I know it sounds like I'm biased, but no. After looking at everything, as far as quantity of guns, but even the British, I feel like with my MSU build, I have to find some way to fit a spotter in there because they just need that extra die.
Mm-hmm. Have you tried the battle cruiser, double cruiser? Have we considered that? Because I know in the MSU episode I said it's probably a bad trade-off.
I haven't taken a look at that, and keep in mind when I was doing MSU, I was looking at MSU as one battle cruiser and 4 destroyers, the destroyer spam, and that doesn't leave a lot of room for anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there is a way that I could get a spotter in there, but then it would mess with the movement, and movement is another thing that you have to make sure that you've got right with that.
Because
So
if we're a 6-hex battle cruiser, we can trade like 1 hex off of these hex 9 destroyers to go to like hex 8 cruisers. So we're still faster, but we've got more like condensed stats.
yeah.
And 2 activations, and maybe that'll do more. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it may be that you just dump the third, 4th destroyer, and yeah, I mean, like I said, British essentially have some pocket battleship, pocket cruisers there with their destroyers, especially the Beagle. I mean, it's just mean.
I think some of the French destroyers are good too. But they might be like battle cruiser, destroyer or something.
But with that, I will say goodnight to you guys. Thank you for a great show.
Thank you for having us.
Night, y'all.
All right, and you guys are on. You guys are on for Thursday. I'm just saying. We won't care about which matchups we've seen. Play what faction you want to play, but you're playing big heavy. All right.
All right, sounds like
I gotta brew something up.
All right, take care, guys. All right, so thank you for tuning into the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you picked up something interesting. Again, we're going to be doing on Thursday. We will have another battle report there, and it will be a big heavy versus big heavy. So we'll see how that turns out. Thank you guys for joining in, and you have a great, great night.